Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and discovering that the person you trust the most has been lying to you every single day of your life. Not a stranger, not a politician, not the media. Not even your closest friend, the greatest liar you have ever known, has been with you since the day you were born. It has shaped every decision you've made, every memory you've kept, every fear you've felt, and every opinion you've ever formed. The most unsettling part is that you can never escape it because that liar is your own brain. At first, this sounds impossible. After all, your brain is the very organ that allows you to think, reason, remember, and understand the world. If you can't trust your own mind, then what can you trust? But here's the surprising truth. Your brain was never designed to show you reality exactly as it is. It was designed to help you survive. And survival is very different from truth. For thousands of years, our ancestors lived in a world where a single mistake could mean death. Imagine walking through a forest and hearing a rustle in the bushes. It could be the wind. Or it could be a predator waiting to attack. A brain that always demanded perfect evidence before reacting would often react too late. But a brain that occasionally jumped to the wrong conclusion had a much better chance of surviving. Evolution rewarded minds that were fast, not necessarily accurate. In other words, your brain learned that being wrong sometimes was far less dangerous than being slow once. This ancient survival strategy still shapes your thoughts today. Every second, your senses collect an unbelievable amount of information, far more than your conscious mind could ever process. Your eyes receive millions of visual signals. Your ears detect countless sounds. Your skin constantly senses pressure, temperature, and movement. If your brain tried to process every tiny detail equally, you would become overwhelmed within seconds. Instead, it filters, edits, predicts, and fills in missing pieces. What you experience as reality is actually a carefully constructed version of reality built inside your mind. Think about watching a movie. It feels smooth and continuous, yet it's really a rapid sequence of still images shown one after another. Your brain fills the gaps and creates the illusion of motion. Everyday life works in a surprisingly similar way. Your mind constantly fills in missing information without asking for your permission. It guesses what someone meant before they finish speaking. It predicts what will happen next. It assumes rather than verifies. Most of the time, these predictions help you navigate the world efficiently. But sometimes they become the source of misunderstanding, anxiety, and false beliefs. Have you ever been absolutely certain you remembered something, only to discover later that it never happened the way you remembered it? Maybe you confidently recalled a conversation that another person insists never took place. Perhaps you were convinced you left your keys on the kitchen table, only to find them somewhere completely different. Your brain doesn't store memories like a video camera recording events exactly as they happened. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds the memory from those fragments. In a sense, every memory is a reconstruction rather than a replay. This means your memories can change over time without you ever realizing it. New information mixes with old experiences. Emotions color the details. Stories you've heard from others become woven into your own recollections. Sometimes your brain even creates memories of events that never actually happened. Scientists call these asterisks. You can be completely certain about something and still be completely wrong. The same thing happens with your thoughts. Most people assume that because a thought appears in their mind, it must contain some truth. But your brain generates thousands of thoughts every single day, and many of them contradict one another. One moment it tells you that you're capable of achieving your dreams. The next moment it whispers that you'll probably fail. Which thought is true? Neither thought is reality. They're simply predictions, interpretations, and possibilities produced by a brain constantly trying to anticipate the future. Perhaps you've experienced this before. You send someone an important message, and they don't reply for several hours. Suddenly your mind begins creating stories. Maybe they're angry with me. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe they don't want to talk anymore. Hours later, you discover their phone battery died, or they were simply busy at work. It wasn't trying to make you miserable. It was trying to prepare you for possible danger. Fortunately, the human brain often treats uncertainty as a problem that must be solved immediately, even when there isn't enough information to reach a reliable conclusion. This is why fear often feels more convincing than hope. From an evolutionary perspective, expecting danger was safer than expecting safety. If your ancestors mistakenly assumed a predator was nearby, they might waste a little energy by running away unnecessarily. But if they mistakenly assumed everything was safe when danger was actually present, they might not survive to make another mistake. Evolution naturally favored brains that lean toward caution, suspicion, and worst-case scenarios. And here's the twist that changes everything. Your brain doesn't lie because it's broken. It lies because that's exactly how evolution taught it to protect you. The problem is that the same survival system that once kept our ancestors alive now operates inside a completely different world. Instead of worrying about lions hiding in tall grass, your brain worries about text messages, social media comments, job interviews, awkward conversations, and imagined futures that may never happen. Oh, the threats have changed. But the ancient software remains almost exactly the same. So if your brain constantly edits reality, the answer lies in understanding one of the most powerful psychological discoveries ever made. Your brain doesn't just observe reality, creates the version of reality you experience. And once you understand how that process works, you'll never look at your own thoughts the same way again. Imagine wearing a pair of invisible glasses your entire life without ever realizing they exist. Every color you see, every face you judge, every decision you make, and every memory you revisit passes through those glasses first. You believe you're seeing the world exactly as it is, but in reality, you're only seeing your brain's interpretation of it. This is perhaps the greatest illusion of human existence. We don't experience reality directly. We experience the version of reality our brain believes is most useful for survival. One of the biggest ways your brain deceives you is through something psychologists call cognitive biases. Think of them as mental shortcuts. Your brain processes billions of pieces of information every day, and analyzing every detail with perfect logic would require an impossible amount of energy. Instead, it creates shortcuts that usually help you make quick decisions. Most of the time, they work remarkably well. But sometimes those shortcuts distort reality in ways that completely change how you see yourself and the people around you. Take confirmation bias, for example. Once you believe something, your brain quietly begins searching for evidence that proves you're right while ignoring evidence that proves you're wrong. Imagine meeting someone for the first time and deciding they seem arrogant. From that moment on, every confident thing they say strengthens your opinion. But every kind or humble action they perform is quickly forgotten or explained away. The person hasn't changed, only the filter through which you're seeing them has. In many ways, your brain behaves less like a scientist searching for truth and more like a lawyer defending a case it has already decided. This same bias shapes how you see yourself. If you secretly believe you're not good enough, your brain becomes an expert at collecting evidence to support that belief. One small mistake at work suddenly feels like proof that you're incompetent. One awkward conversation convinces you that people don't like you. Meanwhile, your successes, compliments, and achievements are dismissed as luck or coincidence. Over time, you begin living inside a reality that your brain has carefully constructed, one that may have very little to do with the truth. Another remarkable deception involves fear. Imagine walking onto a stage to give a presentation. Your palms become sweaty. Your heart starts racing. Your breathing becomes faster. Your stomach tightens. It feels as though you're facing a life-threatening emergency. But are you really in danger? Probably not. Yet your brain doesn't always distinguish between physical threats and social threats. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by your tribe could reduce your chances of survival. Today, speaking in front of strangers activates many of the same ancient alarm systems. Your body prepares to fight or flee even, though the only thing waiting for you is an audience. This explains why anxiety often feels so convincing. Your brain doesn't simply imagine danger, it prepares your entire body to respond as if that danger already exists. Once your heart starts pounding, your mind interprets those physical sensations as further proof that something terrible must be happening. A vicious cycle begins. Your thoughts create fear, your body reacts, and your brain uses those reactions as evidence that the fear was justified all along. Then there's this strange illusion of control. Human beings love believing they are in complete control of their lives. It makes us feel safe. But much of what we do happens automatically. Have you ever driven home without remembering most of the journey? Or walked into a room and forgotten why you entered? That's because your brain performs thousands of actions on autopilot. Even many of your opinions are influenced by factors you never consciously notice: your mood, your childhood experiences, your environment, the people around you, and even how much sleep you got the night before. The decisions feel completely independent, but beneath the surface, countless, invisible influences are quietly shaping them. Perhaps the most fascinating lie your brain tells is about happiness. We constantly believe that happiness exists somewhere in the future. I'll finally be happy when I get that promotion, when I buy my dream house, when I lose weight, when I find the perfect relationship. The brain keeps pointing toward the horizon, convincing you that fulfillment is always just one more achievement away. The brain adapts. Almost immediately, it begins chasing something new. Psychologists call this asterisk, hedonic adaptation, asterisk. And it explains why so many people spend their entire lives running toward a finish line that keeps moving farther away. Social media has amplified this illusion more than ever before. Every day, your brain compares your ordinary life to carefully edited highlights from thousands of other people. You see vacations, but not loneliness, smiles, but not anxiety, success, but not failure. Slowly, your brain begins believing that everyone else is happier, wealthier, and more successful than you. But the comparison itself is built on incomplete information. You're comparing your behind the scenes reality to everyone else's highlight reel. It's a comparison you were never meant to win. Yet perhaps the most dangerous lie of all is the one your brain tells about your identity. It quietly whispers. It tells the unsuccessful person they're simply not capable of success. But neuroscience reveals something extraordinary. The brain is not fixed. Through neuroplasticity, it constantly changes in response to your experiences, habits, and choices. The person you are today is not the person you are destined to remain. Many of the limits you believe define you are simply stories your brain has repeated so often that they began to feel like facts. So if your thoughts can be wrong, why our memories can be inaccurate, your fears can be exaggerated, your perceptions can be biased, and even your identity can change. Who are you really if your brain isn't always telling you the truth? How do you stop believing its most convincing lies? The answer isn't to fight your brain. It's to understand it. Because awareness is the one ability evolution gave us that can rise above instinct. And in the final chapter, we'll discover how understanding the brain's greatest illusions gives you something even more powerful than entertainment. It gives you freedom. Imagine standing in front of a mirror that has distorted your reflection your entire life. Every morning, if you looked into that mirror every single day, eventually you would stop questioning it. You would accept the reflection as reality. Your brain works in a surprisingly similar way. For years, it has shown you distorted versions of your fears, your memories, your future, and even your identity. The frightening part isn't that these distortions exist. The frightening part is that they feel completely real. Most people spend their entire lives believing every thought that enters their mind, never realizing that thoughts are not facts. They are predictions, interpretations, guesses, and stories created by one of the most complex organs in the universe. But here's the beautiful news. The moment you recognize that your brain can deceive you, it begins to lose its power over you. Imagine waking up tomorrow and hearing that familiar voice inside your head say, "You're going to fail." In the past, you probably believed it. Now imagine responding with a different question. Is this the truth? Or is this simply my brain trying to protect me? That one question changes everything, because awareness creates distance. Instead of becoming trapped inside your thoughts, you begin observing them. Once you become the observer, you are no longer the prisoner. Modern neuroscience has revealed something extraordinary. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you question a negative belief, every time you choose a healthier response instead of an automatic one, your brain begins changing itself. This incredible ability is called neuroplasticity, For decades, scientists believed the adult brain was fixed. Today, we know the opposite is true. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on what you repeatedly think, feel, and do. Imagine a forest with two walking paths. One path has been used every day for years. It's wide, smooth, and easy to follow. The other path is almost invisible because hardly anyone has walked there. Your thoughts work exactly the same way. Every time you repeat the same fear, the same self-criticism, the same insecurity, you strengthen that mental pathway. It becomes easier for your brain to travel down that road again. But every time you challenge those thoughts with curiosity instead of certainty, you begin creating a new path. At first it feels difficult. The old path is familiar. The new one feels uncomfortable. But with repetition, the new path grows stronger. Eventually, the road that once controlled your life begins disappearing, and a healthier one takes its plaque.